Arizona has more bat species than just about any other state. Population sizes are estimated in part by DNA samples. Throughout the summer, university researchers capture bats and grab quick swabs before releasing them.
There she goes.
By far, the most common species is Arizona myotis, a close relative to the little brown bat, the species being decimated by white nose syndrome.
I can write it on the petri dish.
Scientists are searching for information that could stop the spread of white nose syndrome.
It is a race against time, and we're truly dealing with the extinction or potential extinction of several bat species in the United States.
In the Center for Microbial Genetics and Genomics, researchers find many non-pathogenic fungi on bats, making scientists question what makes the white nose fungus, called PD for short, so lethal.
We only have a handful of instances where fungi cause devastation at this level.
These samples are used to study the pathogen's DNA and track the course of white nose syndrome across the country.
And what this shows us is that the pathogen is rapidly emerging. It came into where it is and it spread very quickly. It didn't have a chance to mutate very much. It also shows us that there's not a lot of pattern in the samples that we've taken relative to geography or time, which means that the organism is spreading rather rapidly back and forth all over the landscape. And we believe this is consistent with the movement of bats across the landscape as well.
By better understanding the white nose DNA and its path from east to west, land managers have a better chance of stopping the deadly fungi.
Just pick a good spot. Don't want to capture anything but bats, especially not an oversized duck.
Capturing bats in Arizona is pretty straightforward. Because it's such a dry state, researchers gather near water, set up nets, and wait for the bug feast to begin.
Looks like a sheep.
Once these bats are caught and swabbed for DNA, a radio transmitter is attached.
This is the antenna. I don't know if you can see that very well.
Tracking devices for mammals should be just 4% of body weight, a challenge for the world's tiniest mammal.
A bat their body is pretty small, like the size of your thumb, and it weighs like as much as a nickel. So they're not very heavy, so that 4% is hard to meet. The greatest proportion of the weight of this device is the battery. Some species of bat you just could not hope to put a transmitter on because you'd let go of it and it would fall to the ground. But the bats that we are working with are pretty beefy bats.
That's for echolocating.
The transmitters emit a signal for 30 days,
There's one.
giving researchers a window for tracking bats, determining their flight patterns and roosting habits.
So we have our coordinates in here for the bat that we've transmitted.
On the Apache Sitgreaves National Forest, where Arizona's largest wildfire destroyed nearly 900 square miles of woodland, there is a knowledge gap of habitat health in the post-fire landscape.
So this is our roost tree here with one of our females. In terms of the Southwest, there's not been any studies done to look at wildfire and how bats respond.
By determining where bats are living,
Has about 70 individuals living in it when we did an exit count.
land managers can preserve habitats, especially maternity roosts, where up to 900 bats live beneath the bark of trees.
They're really good at finding places to stay out of view.
You can see up on the little higher up, there is furling bark. That's where most of the females exited.
You can't hear them, you can't see them, you can't find them. They're hard to study. So the transmitter, if you put it on the bat, you let it go, it'll take you right to where it roosts. And these can be hard to find.
This is what's called a two-element antenna, or an H antenna, a lot of people call them. And as I turn this, hopefully you'll be able to hear some difference in how loud the beep is. So it sounds to me it's kind of loudest this direction generally. Snag, no bark, roosting in cracks, guano visible at base. A structure like this that is being used by bats to raise their young and the young cannot just fly away and that sort of thing. You know, this is something that at least thought should be given to whether somebody wants to bulldoze this down or, you know, use it as lumber or something like that. I mean, at least it should be an informed decision along that line.
A lot of this project is just telling land managers what's even there. And then the second part of it is being able to describe what they're using. So when they roost, most of them are in these snags, dead trees. And so what characteristics can we tell land managers to look for when doing salvage logging especially, that they need to protect to keep bats in the landscapes?
Because bats are critical to Arizona's forests and many other habitats, researchers are working quickly to provide decision makers with vital information.
Up next, Carol Chambers and her fascination with bats.
I actually think bats are a very interesting group of organisms. They are the only mammal that can truly fly. They can be very long-lived, they're very diverse, and they do a lot of things for the planet.